commitment that we have in life is good the whole time. No, you're gonna get a dump. They're gonna dump shit on you. Can you now stand in front of everybody with doo-doo on you and be like, yep, we finna try again. I'm finna do it again.
You know what? Let me wipe this shit off. I got another idea.
Oh, bro, like, I'm definitely finna take a bath, 100%. I'm gonna get it from in between my neck. Like, we gotta get this shit off us, but you gotta continue.
Tiana walked into court expecting a routine hearing, but nothing could have prepared her. She had gone in thinking the day would be about simple updates to their co-parenting agreement. She sat down, greeted her legal team, and tried to keep her nerves calm. Iman entered moments later, serious but silent, barely meeting her eyes. The courtroom buzzed with quiet whispers, but no one knew what was coming. Then the judge entered, and everyone rose. Tiana had no idea that in the next few minutes, her entire reality would crumble. As the judge flipped through pages of paperwork and began reading aloud, a hush fell over the room. And then, the words that followed caused the air to be sucked out of the space. Iman had filed for full custody, without her knowledge. She gasped. All eyes turned to her. Tiana had walked in thinking they were still on the same page, that even with all the mess between them, they were trying their best for their child. So when the judge read Iman's emergency custody filing, it was like a punch straight to the heart. The words were cold, emotionless, but the meaning behind them cut deep. Iman's legal documents laid out a case full of accusations, claims of emotional instability, a chaotic home life, and allegations that Tiana could not provide consistent care. The courtroom sat in stunned silence, every word feeling heavier than the last. Tiana's lawyers looked just as blindsided as she did. No one had prepared for this, and certainly not in such a public, raw way. Tiana could only sit and stare as her entire world was suddenly flipped upside down. Tiana's reaction wasn't dramatic at first. It was the kind of heartbreak that starts quiet. Her hands trembled as she tried to grasp the words being read. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. It was like her mind was trying to catch up with reality, refusing to believe what she was hearing. Her face changed from confusion to pain, and then to panic. Within seconds, tears filled her eyes, and her breathing grew short. She reached for the edge of the table, her body unable to hold the weight of the betrayal. And then, in a moment that left the entire courtroom frozen, she collapsed into her chair, head in hands, sobbing uncontrollably. Her lawyers rushed to her side, trying to speak to her, but she couldn't respond. Security stood back, unsure of whether to intervene. No one moved. It wasn't just a breakdown. It was the kind of cry that only comes when you feel like someone ripped your soul out. Outside the courtroom, things were no less chaotic. As soon as the hearing went into recess, Tiana was escorted to a private room. Her close friends and family joined her there, trying to calm her down. She was inconsolable. Her phone lit up non-stop with messages from friends, fans, and even reporters who had already heard what happened inside. Her team scrambled to figure out their next move, but it was clear nothing could be done right away. The betrayal had already hit. Tiana kept asking the same question. How could he do this without telling me? People around her tried to offer answers, but no one really knew what to say. Her trust, her sense of stability, even her understanding of who Iman really was, all of it shattered in minutes. She wasn't just dealing with a legal attack. She was mourning the end of what she thought was a united front for their child. Meanwhile, those closest to Iman rallied around him. They weren't defending his actions blindly. They genuinely believed he was trying to protect his daughter, not punish Tiana. In private conversations, insiders revealed that Iman had been deeply concerned for months about how Tiana was doing, emotionally and mentally. They said he saw tension and instability in her behavior, noticed signs of distress slipping into their daughter's routine, and worried about the kind of environment the little girl was growing up in. According to his camp, the filing wasn't a power play or act of revenge. It was an attempt to create a buffer, to provide structure, something consistent and stabilized. But the defense, no matter how sincere, didn't erase how the move felt to others. Filing for custody in secret, without a single conversation beforehand, without any cue or warning, felt cold. It felt calculated. It felt like he had planned the timing for maximum impact. Some of his own sources admitted that he didn't want to give Tiana time to prepare, to reach out to a lawyer, to organize a defense, before the paperwork was official. Others said he was simply worn out, that years of back and forth had left him feeling cornered. Filing seemed to them like the only way forward. Yet whatever the motive, the silence preceding the filing made it sting more. What might have been a quietly painful conversation became a public ambush. The internet, of course, did what it does best. It exploded. Within minutes, whispers became headlines, rumors became digital firestorms. Videos from outside the courthouse, tweets from reporters, even shaky phone clips of Tiana being led into a waiting car, all of it went viral. People picked sides almost instantly. Some defended him, insisting that a concerned father had every right to take legal action, particularly when he believed his child's emotional welfare was at risk. Others were furious, saying that by blindsiding her, he had acted ruthlessly. Threads amassed thousands of replies. Some were filled with sympathetic comments for Tiana. People felt sorry for her, imagining how shocking it must have been to see papers filed without warning. Others were angry at Iman. How could he use the legal system as a weapon? Where was the communication? Accusations of betrayal flowed freely. Meanwhile, commentary from legal experts began trickling in. This was potentially a long, emotionally draining fight, they warned. Custody battles rarely resolve quickly, and when they do, the wounds often remain open. Celebrities and influencers quickly jumped in, amplifying the debate. Some rallied behind Iman, praising him for doing what they believed he had to do. Others took Tiana's side, condemning the lack of trust and communication. Award-winning comedians turned the situation into memes. Parenting accounts shared guides on co-parenting and the importance of conversation. The timing of the filing, the secrecy, the spectacle, it became fodder for talk shows, podcasts, and think pieces. What had begun as a personal family matter was now the hottest headline, dominating both tabloids and serious news sites. It wasn't just a story, it was a cultural moment. But beneath the clamor and debates, one painful truth shone through. This moment had changed everything. The collapse Tiana experienced in court wasn't just a dramatic turning point in a custody case. It was a public dismantling of trust and communication. It revealed how fragile, even in the context of a love that once felt enduring, a relationship can become when dialogue dies. When fear replaces openness. When preemptive legal silence hides emotional urgency. Iman may have believed he was acting in his daughter's best interest, and perhaps he was. But the way he carried out his plan left emotional scars that may never fully heal. He didn't speak publicly, nor did he need to. His silence, his absence, became a statement in itself. It spoke of disappointment, heartbreak, and possibly regret. For him, no statement could capture the emotional mixture of love, loss, and betrayal he must have felt watching Tiana, fear and tears in her eyes, as she realized what he had done. And their daughter, caught in the middle of it all, now faces a future shadowed by betrayal and theatrical drama. One day she believed her family was intact. The next, she saw her parents dismantling it in front of the world. Legal documents, headlines, dramatic court hallway moments. None of that was her story, but all of it has become her reality. Experts warn that children caught in such battles can carry emotional wounds far beyond what custody agreements can resolve. Back in court, Tiana's legal team activated their strategy. They filed motions to contest the filing, citing her efforts to remove Aaron from the home, her proactive work to enroll their daughter in therapy, and supportive statements from family friends and mental health professionals who could testify to positive changes in the household. Their focus wasn't just on legality, it was on narrative, portraying Tiana not as negligent, but as a mother who was evolving, learning, struggling, and ultimately, doing her best under pressure. Legal analysts noted that the filing's secrecy might even backfire. In court, perception often plays a larger role than actual evidence. Judges aren't just interested in paperwork, they evaluate motivations and communication. If Iman's filing appeared to be manipulative or energy-draining for everyone involved, it could weaken his case, even if his intentions were well-founded. Observers began predicting a fierce courtroom showdown, one likely to be prolonged and emotionally charged. Inside that courtroom, everything felt more than dispute. It felt like a deconstruction. The love story Tiana and Iman once shared had already ended. Now, The parenting journey they had promised to walk together was falling apart in public. Their private intimacy, their shared headaches, their joint celebrations, they were being replaced by silence, legal motions, and emotional distance. Every aspect of their story, from the secrecy of the filing to the collapse of communication, spoke to a breakdown of partnership, a breakdown of understanding. In family court, it's not just about who has better documents, it's about whether they can build trust again, whether they can co-parent without resentment, whether they can put the child first, honestly, and with a measure of grace. For the daughter, the stakes couldn't be higher. Whether she spends time at one parent's house or both, whether custody is shared or weighted, the emotional landscape is now forever changed. She will carry the memory of how her parents divided, not just physically, but emotionally. And though she didn't deserve to be a witness, she was. And she will need healing for that. In time, perhaps they'll find a way forward. Perhaps custody can be shared. Perhaps trust can be rebuilt. Slowly, painfully, step by step. But the emotional wreckage is already evident. The legal papers may define where she sleeps, but they cannot erase what that night of filing represented: unilateral decisions, secrecy, and the dismantling of what both parents said they treasured most. Whether this story is resolved in one hearing or dozens, what matters is that it's part of a deeper reckoning. About honesty, about communication, about the fragility of family bonds, about how far someone will go when they believe a child is at risk, and how far a parent should go when trust is on the line. This custody battle, once private and personal, has turned into a public saga. A cautionary tale about the cost of silence, the wounds of ambush, and the challenge of parenting beyond love. And in the aftermath, one thing remains clear: winning a legal fight doesn't guarantee healing. You can claim a right to a child, but healing a broken bond must be reclaimed, quietly, one step at a time, long after headlines fade. This isn't just another celebrity courtroom drama. It's a painful reminder of how fragile trust can be when emotions are buried instead of faced. Tiana didn't see the ambush coming, and now, she's left to pick up the pieces while the world watches. Whether Iman thought it was right or wrong doesn't change what it did to her. One moment of secrecy became a permanent scar on what was supposed to be a respectful co-parenting journey. And no matter how the court rules moving forward, nothing will ever be the same again.